I want to give a shout out to Dave for sending me the statement from DSA. It appears that DSA National Political Committee has decided to withdraw their endorsement of AOC. So this was a shocker around the world. I was not expecting this tweet to get this much engagement. Like, it really went crazy. DSA National Political Committee is withdrawing their endorsement of AOC. This is due to numerous issues addressed below. So I put the little screenshot there. And down here, issues included, but we're just going to go ahead and get to the statement from them. What was interesting, though, like, this got 3.5K likes, like over 195,000 people saw this. Let's go ahead and get into this statement here from Democratic Socialists of America. Status of DSA national endorsement for Representative AOC. On Sunday, June 23rd, the DSA National Political Committee voted to endorse Representative AOC so long as she fulfills the following conditions. So they decided to endorse her on June 23rd. This statement was released July 10th, which was yesterday. Under these conditions, publicly oppose all funding to Israel, including the Iron Dome. Participate regularly in the DSA Federal Socialists in Office Committee. Publicly oppose all criminalization of anti-Zionism, such as bills advancing the IHRA definition, which conflates criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism. Publicly support BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction to end Israeli settler colonialism. The initial endorsement was considered upon request of the New York City DSA Steering Committee. Earlier this week, the NPC received a request from NYC DSA SC to withdraw the endorsement because it took place after the New York Democratic primary, and they did not expect a conditional endorsement or feel it was strategic. Strategic. Because we have not seen, let me highlight this part here. Because we have not seen evidence of AOC meeting these conditions, and at the request of the NYC DSA SC, the NPC is withdrawing our conditional endorsement of Representative AOC, although she will remain endorsed by our New York City chapter. So let's say something here before I get into the details. So, first of all, the New York City chapter should unendorse her as well. But two, the DSA finally did something that they should have done a couple of years ago based on the way that AOC voted on legislation. Now, for some of you, you think, okay, she voted a couple of ways. What's the big deal? The big deal is that as a member of DSA, DSA has pretty strict principles, especially when it comes to Israel, when it comes to war, when it comes to the BDS movement. I remember they were upset with Jamal Bowman a couple of years ago because he wanted to take that trip to Israel. And as DSA, you're not supposed to do that. So I'm glad that they're holding her accountable now. But this could have also been done when they voted against the railroad workers, when AOC voted against the railroad workers. That was AOC turning against labor, which is also one of the principles that DSA holds so dear. In the last several months, thousands of DSA members provided input about the prospect of a national endorsement through town halls, meetings, and engaging in their chapter discussions. And AOC was invited to speak at a member forum. Many members have supported national endorsement while at the same time demanding that AOC demonstrate a higher level of commitment to Palestinian liberation, self-determination, and the immediate end to the heinous genocide in Gaza committed by Israel that aligns with DSA positions and expectations of socialists in office. So this is the part people need to pay attention to: DSA positions and expectations of socialists in office. There were a number of people on Twitter that retweeted my tweet and they were just like, okay, because she didn't do these few things, what's the big deal? The big deal is she's not following the principles of the organization. And she hasn't been doing so for a couple of years. So that is big deal. The second part here, I remember it took her forever to admit it was a genocide. She got pressured by protesters, and that's why she admitted it. And then she decided to do that cringe webinar where she was trying to mix anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. I covered that. That was a horrible idea again. So she has moved further to the right as time has gone on. I showed you a video earlier where she was giving her unconditional support for Joe Biden for 2024. And in that rant that she had, she told you expanding Medicare. So we went from Medicare for all to expanding Medicare. So she's moved further to the right. We recognize that AOC has taken many courageous positions on Palestine, such as co-sponsoring several House resolutions, naming Israel's genocide, as well as opposing House Resolution 894. However, members have raised their concerns regarding a number of her votes, including a vote in favor of House Resolution 888, conflating opposition to Israel's right to exist with anti-Semitism. AOC also co-signed a press release on April 20th, 2024 that supports strengthening the Iron Dome and other defense systems. See, she's sneaky. Let me highlight this. Everybody see this? The Iron Dome and defense systems. Remember I think a year or so ago, she decided to vote present on that. And then she was crying on Nancy Pelosi's shoulder, performance, like that kind of thing. And here we fast forward to 2024 in April, and she this time voted to support or said in the press release to strengthen the Iron Dome and other defense system. So again, this goes directly against DSA principles. These are the kind of things that people are not calling out about AOC. They're not paying attention to the way that she's voting. Finally, AOC recently hosted a public panel with leaders from the Jewish Council for Public Affairs, lobbyists for the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. On this panel, anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism were conflated, and boycotting Zionist institutions was condemned. This sponsorship is a deep betrayal to all those who have risked their welfare to fight Israeli apartheid and genocide through political and direct action in recent months and in decades past. So this is DSA saying it was a complete betrayal. I hope more people call this out. A national DSA endorsement comes with a serious commitment to the movement for Palestine and our collective socialist project. We must endorse candidates who enthusiastically seek a relationship with DSA and the National Political Committee, as the highest body of the organization between conventions is responsible for setting the criteria we establish for national endorsements. Chapters have a responsibility to make this clear to their endorsed candidates when applying for a national endorsement. So apparently you have to apply for it. The NPC is committed to ensuring that all of our elected officials are unabashed in their support for Palestinian freedom to build a socialist movement that is capable of defeating capitalism. We must demand more from leaders in our movement. And then there's just a correction here. Correction, she conflated anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. Was edited to read on this panel, anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism were conflated after the statement was posted. So this is from DSA, folks. Now, the New York City chapter is still endorsing her. If you're in New York City or if you're a part of that chapter in New York, I highly recommend that you put pressure on them to drop the endorsement as well. But this has been going on for a number of years. And those of us that were pointed it out and were like, guys, AOC is voting along with establishment Democrats. She's going against the DSA policies. We were called haters. This woman took a lot of money from working class people. Grassroots. Running on one thing and doing another thing. And the way that I feel about it, if you're going to take money from working class people, the grassroots, you need to get the damn shit done. If you can't get it done, you need to give them a refund. I think every politician in particular, especially if you're grassroots, because if you're grassroots, you're getting a lot of small dollar donations from working class people. You take that money from those people and you don't fulfill, those duties in office, or you vote against those principles, I think you should have to give people a refund. I'd love to see that piece of legislation pass. Have candidates refund all the individual people, the individual donations, if they're not fulfilling their promises. Wow. Skylar said, this all sounds extremely legitimate to me. The DSA was right to withdraw their endorsement. Some say that this is the DSA eating itself, but it's really DSA sticking true to what their ethics are. Yeah. And the other thing too, I want to mention, DSA has lost membership over the past year and a half. They've lost last time I checked, I think it was last year, they lost 10,000 members because the squad members weren't doing what they said they were going to do. And so people were just frustrated. They're like, why am I paying dues towards something? And the people who are the poster people for this organization aren't even upholding the principles. We have to remember it was Bernie Sanders that really helped increase membership to DSA. When Bernie Sanders announced his campaign for 2016, their membership shot up. And then when he ran again in 2020, more people joined DSA. Along with AOC and all of them, they brought members to the organization. So for DSA to unendorse her, they know they're probably going to take a hit for this, but that says a lot. But they did it because they got public pressure. Always remember that.